Hello everyone, and welcome to another casted game of Age of Mythology Retold. Today, we're going to take a look at a very special game. Very special to me at least, because this is the first game I've ever played as the Egyptians on Retold. I'll be spawning in on the north side of the map today, playing Isis in the red. My opponent, meanwhile, spawning in on the south side of the map, playing Loki in the blue. It's Nello 1110. So, the reason I'm playing Egyptians for the very first time today in a ranked game is because here recently I found myself kind of hard-locked in the 1000 to 1100 ELO range. And to kind of figure my way out of this slump, I've decided to finally take Boyd's advice and start playing Random God in my ranked games. I am 100% expecting my ELO to drop considerably for the next couple of weeks, but hopefully, as I rotate through the Pantheons and start to learn the different matchups, I'll start to improve as a player overall, instead of constantly working on refining a single strategy or a single major god. So, every now and then, I will bring you one of my games with a new Pantheon, both to update on how the Random God ranked matches are going, and to try to get better playing the different civs through analysis. So, let's check out these build orders. I made a pretty big mistake, I believe, here, on my build order. Like I said, this is the first ever game I've played with the Egyptians on Retold, and I sent them all three of my starting villagers directly to the gold mine. I don't think I needed to do that. I eventually peeled one off and put him on wood. Don't think I needed to do that either. I just knew that the Egyptians were a very gold-heavy civ, but in the early game, I found out you very much want to focus on food, just like pretty much everything else. Gonna go ahead and get an early monument out. I've played a few games against the Egyptians, and I know that their early myth unit spam can be pretty irritating to deal with as a Norse player, so I decided that's probably a pretty safe strategy to go for here. Nello, throwing a temple down, already pre-queued for Seti, looking to get out those trolls, as well as the healing spring. I have yet to even start thinking about an age up because my macro was so off with this heavy early focus on gold. Temple is coming down. Yet to pre-queue anything up. I've got my Pharaoh empowering my Granary. Not sure if that's the move. Still got to do a little experimentation to figure out where the best place to task him early on is. I know that if you're playing raw, you just want to throw down a monument and task him on that because he can empower multiple buildings, but with Isis, I'm not entirely sure. Temple finally comes up on my side of the map. I've pre-queued Bast. Still quite a bit of food short of actually getting to that age up. Nello, meanwhile, is already about 3/4 of the way up through Seti. Berserk comes in, likely looking to get a spy off. Probably going to be going for those gold miners. That's where I'd want to put my spy if I was him. Yep. Get early notice of when I move out onto a less safe gold mine. Age up comes through for Nello. Troll moves out onto the map. For now, though, it looks like Nello just focusing on getting relics. Heroes regain hit points while fighting enemy units. Yep, that's going to be very helpful for a Loki player. One of the most different things I noticed playing this game is just how much of the map you can get line of sight on early is the Egyptians, because of these obelisks. I'm probably underutilizing these, to be honest. But even when they get destroyed like that, you still have noticed that your opponent's army is in that general area. Just from the attack notification. Bast finally comes through on my side of the map. Its first Sphinx comes out. If you haven't had the misfortune of encountering these in a game yet, these are very good units for early villager raids. Obviously, 15 hack damage, 11.5 per second. Going to be dealing 3 times that against myth units. So, pretty safe to send across the map and try to get some damage off on some villagers, because theoretically, whatever free myth unit your opponent gets for the age up should not have a favorable matchup against this Sphinx. Nello continuing to build up at the front of his base. First Sphinx upgrade comes in, as well as the first eco damage. Villagers are going to get pulled. None are going to go down quite yet. There's a couple of Herser available in Nello's base, but not going to need to send them over at this point. I want to get this Sphinx out of here and back across to a safer side of the map. Herser picking up relics all over the map. That's a really good relic. I'd probably walk across the map to pick that up as well. Cheaper age ups, always going to be nice. Nello still just on one production building, the temple. I've got 2 barracks out and getting out some axemen. Again, as someone who mostly plays the Norse in this matchup, I know that I would hate to see axemen coming out, so I figure, well, it's probably the move. Priest just kind of standing here idle. Could definitely be taken out by this Berserk if Nello felt so inclined. But going to be getting away today, it looks like. Alright, first additional production building coming up. Going to be a great haul. Looking to go into either more Herser or cavalry. I guess that makes sense, since I've already put on some pressure with the Sphinx. Taking a look at the resources in the bank here, I am stacking up a lot of resources. Probably wanting to age up with Nephthys. Gonna enable the Scorpion Man. Very good unit. I believe has an area of effect attack. And obviously not going to be great into all these Herser, but we start seeing some raiding cavalry coming out. The Scorpion Man might be a good answer. Nello still yet to pre-queue that age up, looking to stick around in the classical age for a little while longer. Gathering very heavily from this gold mine. Looks like a little short on the food front from an age up. Flood of the Nile coming in finally. Probably should have gotten this earlier. This is one of those resource trickle technologies, kind of like the Vault of Erebus for Hades. Just going to give you a slow 1 per second trickle of food. So, theoretically, the earlier you get that, the more food you're going to get out of it. Third monument coming up. Hoping to move pretty quickly into myth units once the heroic age comes through. But with 4 Great Halls, Nello is going to be in a good position to counter any kind of myth unit switch out. If he gets something out to counter these axemen, that is.
And you?
Pharaoh is going to be moving over to empower the monument. Although Isis empowering the monuments doesn't empower all the buildings in the radius, it is going to grant you a nice little healing aura in this radius here. Nello knows I'm moving on to a forward gold mine, but doesn't think he can take the fight at this point. Sees the axeman with the villager spy. Going to be retreating pretty far into his base. Lots of raiding cavalry coming out. And I'm not sure about this. I understand why. You've got 4 Great Halls, and you don't want to build, more Hersir. You have plenty of those. And they're not going to do well into those axemen, because the axemen are just a direct infantry counter. 5 times damage multiplier against infantry. That is crazy. So that's about 25 damage per second onto these Hersir. And the raiding cavalry, while they won't be taking that damage, they are pretty squishy just to start with. So you don't necessarily have to be fighting into a counter to take bad fights with the raiding cavalry. Looks like neither of us have opted for a second town center at this point. I think perhaps I probably could have afforded to take a second town center by now. Perhaps instead of going up to heroic so early. Because I haven't really done a lot with that advantage. The line upgrade's coming in for the heavy axemen. Just in time, it looks like Nello is ready to take a fight. Ancestors gets dropped on this food gathering now that I know the army's out of position. And the army is going to have to move back. Eclipse also comes out, going to be buffing up those minions as well as my myth units in the fight on the front line. Nello taking the fight underneath this healing spring is going to be able to negate quite a bit of damage, but this Scorpion Man is really just tearing through these cavalry. And it looks like this position is going to be pretty much cleaned up. The hope anytime you take a fight underneath these healing springs, by the way, is that if you can kill off all of the units of your opponents underneath the healing spring, these are capturable. So all of a sudden, if you can fully clear out this area, you'll have a healing spring right outside of his base, which gives you a great point to put some pressure out from. Looks like houses might be sufficient to keep that healing spring from getting captured. That's interesting. I did not know that previously. And Heroic Age comes through for Nello. Battleboar going to be getting in on the action. Only a couple of priests left for me at this point. So that Battleboar is a threat I'm going to have to respect. Army moves back across the field towards my side of the map. Few more myth units starting to come out here. And these priests healing is something I'm going to have to get used to and take better advantage of. Because it is really handy having your main answer to myth units also serve as a healer for the rest of your army. Couple of units out of position here. I had rallied my barracks forward whenever I was trying to take that healing spring and forgot to move them back. Nello's going to see this town center going up because of the spy, and I feel like I have to take this fight. Raiding cavalry going to be going down very quickly up against that Scorpion Man again, and the Sphinx, countering out the Battleboar pretty effectively, is going to be going down, but so is the Battleboar. And it's just myth units left. And I have several myth units of my own. And with that army getting cleaned up, Nello is going to call the game. GG to him. Let's check out these graphs. So, very close in the civilian units department. It doesn't look like I ever managed to get any villager kills off until the Ancestors Eclipse. Very effective little trick. I've seen it done in a lot of pro games. Never had the opportunity to do it myself. But very effective. And then the military units, I definitely could have afforded to not build up quite so fast, I think. Maybe sunk a little more into my economy. And then if, that fight in the middle hadn't gone as well as it had, I would have had something to fall back on. As always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like to see one of your replays featured in my next video, leave a comment below with your gamer tag, and I will see what I can do. Until next time, guys, good luck, have fun, and I'll see you in the next game.